Hi, Bernard here. Today we're going to do a diet Q&A just like I had promised in my last video. Links in the description if you'd like to check that out. Sorry that the videos have been late recently. I've put into motion some pretty big life changes that won't be occurring until after the diet, but they are coming and they're on the way. So it should be interesting. Very first question. Do you ever feel like giving up? If yes, how do you combat that? So just like any other person, yes, I feel like giving up all the time. I feel like giving up every day, especially for this fat loss plan. I'm to the point now where I'm definitely running at a caloric deficit. I have 50 grams of carbs on the days that I do high intensity interval cardio, and every single meal that I have, I feel like I don't have enough food and I'm hungry. I want more. I want to eat more, but I can't. I wake up extremely tired. Sometimes I don't even want to go to the gym because I have to go 11 times a week. Twice a day for, 4 or 5 days. It's crazy. Like, I have to be at the gym at least once a day. That kind of thing, it really starts to wear down on you, and I'm not even halfway into this, right? I think it's normal to want to feel like you want to give up. When I was in school, I worked 3 jobs so that I could come out debt-free. That was like the worst experience of my life. Now, the last 2 years of school, I was able to score a very nice paying job, so I didn't have to work 3 of them, but I still had to work my ass off. 80 hours a week, no matter 3 jobs or 1 job. It was pretty bad. I just wanted to be like, fuck this. I don't want to get the degree. Sometimes I tell myself I don't even want to lose weight anymore. I don't care about this fat loss, but you have to stay on track. You have to have the discipline to be, I have to go to class every day, no matter I work until 2 in the morning, or I have to go to the gym no matter what, right? I have to go to the gym because if I don't go that day, I'm gonna feel even more uncomfortable than when I do go. Don't get me wrong, I feel uncomfortable going to the gym every day now because I get so tired and exhausted after going. It's starting to really wear down on me, and I don't want to send the email to Shelby to say, hey, can we do something to alleviate this? Because you know what? It's supposed to suck. It's supposed to be bad. There's a comparison on doing things that you want to versus doing things that you have to. I don't want to say when you get older, but there's more obligations that come up in life, either the older you are or, I don't know, a higher position that you are in at work or something. There's so many more things that you have to do, and there's less and less things that you want to do. I would like to sit at home and play video games all day. I can't. I have bills. I have bills to pay. I have rent to collect from tenants. I have obligation to patients. You can't. I have people reporting to me at work. There is a difference. So how do I combat that? It's really all about discipline and saying that, you have to go. And when you go, first of all, the hardest part is going. And second of all, you have to make it impactful when you do go. And make that a principle in your life that you have to go no matter what. There's no excuses that you can't go. And once you get up out of that chair and walk out that door, things all of a sudden change when your setting changes. That's the way that I combat that. It's very normal to want to give up all the time. I'm there right now. Okay. Next question. What is your take on drinking diet soda or drinks with 0 calories while trying to lose weight? While trying to lose weight, not a problem. I did it about 10 years ago. I drank so much diet green tea and Diet Mountain Dew. I'm doing that again. I think the results speak for themselves. It wasn't really a detriment to my diet. I've used Diet Mountain Dew as a joke in this channel, but, well, people can't seem to recognize jokes. Okay, next question. This is not diet related. Will you play For Honor? And if you are, did you get the collector's edition? So that's the first time I've even heard of that game title. This brings up a different point. No, I'm not going to play the game. I'm not a fitness channel. I'm not a games channel. If it was this time last year, I would say I'm not a Nuclear Throne channel. The only reason I did so many of those videos because it was easy and I felt an obligation to have to upload all the time. I don't feel that obligation so much anymore. This is a channel of Bernard and the stuff that Bernard likes to do and likes to think about. That's it. If games are interesting at that time, then I will make some game videos. But I would have to rethink the way I do them, because I think the Let's Play genre is, I don't know if I'm meant for that, but who knows. Next question. Are you interested in getting back into powerlifting in the future, or just planning to lose weight? Just right now, for the immediate, like, I don't know, next 2 or 3 months, just planning to lose weight. I would like to milk the rebound that comes out of a diet within like the first 4 to 8 weeks, and then try to gain some strength. But recently I've put in some life changes in motion, and those changes are going to drastically change things. It's going to be a little crazy. I don't think I'll be able to commit to powerlifting again anytime soon, but it doesn't mean that I wouldn't want to focus on something to do with strength. Okay, next question. I find that after I have a cheat meal, I find it hard to get back on track. Do you have this problem? And if so, do you have any tips on how to stay on track? So my previous video, I did a cheat meal. I don't know if I said this already, links in the description below. Yes, actually, my cravings have gotten a little bit stronger, but I think that that's not because of the cheat meal, but that's more because of now it's like after cardio, after a workout, I really want to eat a lot more, but I can't. And that's because I'm running at the caloric deficit now. How to stay on track? For me, it's easy because it's a pain in the ass to get anywhere. I get it in New York City, right? You just have to go down the elevator and then just start walking on the street, go into Times Square, get something to eat. It's a pain in the butt to get in the car and then drive into New Jersey and then, get stuff for a little bit cheaper, which is what I do. That's my deterrent, is that it's harder to leave my own apartment. That's my deterrent, and if I don't need to eat and it saves me some time, then I just ignore the desire to eat. Sorry if that's not helpful. I was wondering what your projected goal was, and what would you do if you reached the goal earlier than expected? I won't reach the goal earlier than expected because my goal is a time frame. 16 weeks starting from January 8th, my very first day. That's it. If I lost just 1 pound and cut out all of my fat, I would be totally fine. If you haven't noticed yet, in the fat loss vlog, I don't really care so much about the weight that I lose. I mean, it's been 5 or 6 weeks in. I think I've only lost like 6 pounds, 6 or 7. It doesn't really matter to me, the number on the scale. It's just a number. How do I look? How do I feel? Am I putting myself in a position where I can rebound out of a diet very effectively and gain some strength and muscle? Those are the things that I'm looking for. And I think a hard time frame and a hard stop, we'll reassess after the end of 16 weeks. If I need to go a little bit further, like another 2 or 3 weeks, that's totally fine with me. But that's my goal, is to go for 16 weeks to work with Shelby for that time duration. Because I know no matter what, I'm going to lose fat. So how much fat? I have no idea. Okay, next question. Why do you really feel the need to have a coach like Shelby? Are you not confident in the knowledge you've acquired dieting in the past and all around knowing what your body reacts to? What's the benefit of having a coach? Okay. I feel the need to have a coach like Shelby because I know that he has experience that I don't, and he's able to evaluate me from an outside perspective. There's a thing with people that they always feel like, especially when it comes to themselves, they don't have an outside perspective. And you need to have somebody with experience to guide you. And of course, you need to be skeptical of that person when they tell you to do something. Like if Shelby told me to jump off a cliff, I'm probably going to tell him I don't think so. That's not going to help me lose fat. There's a weird conceit, and this really shows up in younger people, that they think they know everything. You don't. The more you know, the more you realize you don't know. In that case, when you're a little bit more self-aware, you know that there's a learning experience to be had from somebody who's worked with thousands of people, who has competed at a professional level for bodybuilding. So with that, even people who compete at a higher level than Shelby will take Shelby in as a coach. And if that's not telling enough that he is a good coach and that he has a lot of great client results under his belt, then I don't know. There's a very, very weird phenomenon amongst people that they want like free information. Let's put it like this. I don't want to be a go-to person to be like, yes, I know exactly what's going to work for you. I'm not like that. There's people who, if they need medical advice, they'll go on the internet to try to find it, and then they go self-diagnose. But no matter what, they can't get the medicine that they need because you need a prescription for it. I've always been in the mentality that if you need information specific to your case, you need to hire somebody who knows. That's the way I've always seen it. I'm not gonna, like my posture problem, I've gone to a physical therapist. I have some colleagues who are doctors of physical therapy, and they're able to assess my condition. I'm never gonna go on the internet to watch a few videos and then try out what they do in those videos and then expect that my posture would get fixed because I watched a few YouTube videos. That's what I'm trying to say. You will need expertise from people who have worked in the field for decades, and that's where you really get true results, in my opinion. Next question. What is the best advice you've gotten in your life? That's a good question. Probably from my parents. They just told me to bite my tongue and keep working, because that's what they did. I mean, my parents came from Taiwan to America here in 1975. And when they came here, they had $300 in their back pocket. My mom was the youngest daughter, and if you know Chinese culture, daughter is like nobody in the family. You don't get, well, in the old days, you don't get any inheritance from the family. So, okay, youngest daughter, definitely not going to ever get anything. And then my dad, even though he was the oldest son in his family didn't want him to leave Taiwan. And his mother warned him, my grandmother, said, if you leave Taiwan, we're not going to support you. We want you to stay here. So he said, oh, well, that's too bad. I'm going to leave. I think, I don't remember how old he was when he came here. He was a lot younger than I am now. But they came to America with $300 in the 70s. They slept on my mom's brother's couch for like 3 or 4 years as my dad was trying to get his degree in nuclear engineering, and my mom worked as a bank teller. And they gritted their teeth and ate shit for a long time so that my sister and I were able to succeed and to get to where we are today. And they said there's a lot of things that you're going to have to do, and and those things that you have to do are things that you don't want to do, right? The things that you want to do, I want to go travel, right? I want to go have fun. I want to play games all the time. I can't do that, right? And there's a lot of things that you have to do, and those are things that you don't want to do. And I learned that from when I was like a young kid, right? That's just the way that it's always been. That was the advice that I've gotten. It's not a feel-good advice. To know that there's going to be things that you have to do in your life that are very unpleasant, that you're not going to want to do, but you're going to have to. That's the best advice I've ever gotten. I've kind of ignored how unpleasant some things are that I have to do, and you just move on with your life. All right, next question. Do you feel like paying Shelby $700 is worth it for these 12 weeks? Absolutely. $700 isn't even that much. The trainers at the gym that I go to, not the Planet Fitness one, but the other one, I think like 20 training sessions is $1,500, and you can burn through 20 training sessions in 10 weeks. And I don't know if you saw in those videos, the trainers they vary kind of widely. I wouldn't pay $1,500 for that. Just saying. Okay. I would like Shelby I've worked with, and I know he has a lot of client results, so that's why I went with him. Next question. Is the repetitive diet a little depressing and tedious after a while? Oh yeah. It's getting depressing now. It like the first 3 or 4 weeks, like you're like all thumbs up and happy, and you're like, oh, this is great. And it gets harder and harder and harder and more difficult, and you just by week 10 there's like a lull. There's a lull starting now in these videos, in case you couldn't tell, maybe in my eyes, but it just gets so difficult, and just you get to a point where you're just like, you're week 13, you're like, I don't want to do this anymore. Like, can I just have a burger or something, please? Like a Chipotle bowl? Ugh. Next question. How do you manage to keep a social life, work a professional job, and make YouTube videos all at once? Well, see, YouTube, I spend like tops 10 to 15 weeks on these 10 to 15 hours a week on these videos. Some of them take me a very long time to make. A social life, see, at my age, not even just at my age, but majority of the friends I've made in like the last, I don't know, 8 years, they're all significantly older than me. We're looking at 20 plus years older, and a lot of them are married, they have kids. So social life, I see them like once every other week at the most often, and then typically on average like once every other month if I'm lucky. We'll get together for dinner. So social life, I don't know. I don't feel the need or the desire to go out every single weekend, or when I was in college every single Friday or Thursday, right? It wasn't a huge deal for me as social life. I mean, I've met a lot of the people that I like to meet. There's always new people to meet, but I don't go out of my way to make sure that I don't eat dinner by myself or something like that. I don't know. It's just always kind of been like that. Work a professional job, yeah, that's the hardest part. Sometimes there's not a lot of videos because work gets really crazy. So I guess if all of that, I skimp out a little bit on the social life because of where I am in life, I guess. That's the only way I can put it. Next question. What music do you like? I like smooth jazz, Grateful Dead, and Fish. That's what I'm currently listening to now. Actually, most of it has been smooth jazz. What motivates you to lose weight? Anything in specific? Honestly, a lot of the patients that I work with are the ones who motivate me to lose weight, because I see these people who have spent so much time so much of their life being in a state that they don't want to be in. And, there's, of course, you could say that, it's their choice, especially type 2 diabetics. But the way that I see it is that, these are people who are in a state that they don't want to be in, and I'm going to do anything I can to not be in the state that they're in. That's my biggest motivator. Next question. What music do you listen to while working out? I personally think a good song which you find motivational can give you another rep or increase your strength. I listen to smooth jazz when I work out. I get a lot of shit. So I don't know if you can tell through the video or not, but I'm a unconventional person, aka really fucking weird. I listen to smooth jazz and Grateful Dead when I work out. I got so much shit for it when I was in the powerlifting gyms in Illinois. Like when I got to control the radio, usually I was by myself and then some other people would walk in and then they'd hear some Grateful Dead playing. A lot of like the live shows for Grateful Dead, 1972, 1977, or even 1984. I don't know how many people know Grateful Dead, but 1984 is like not a good year considered. I like 84, just saying, but yeah, I don't know. I listen to a lot of calming stuff. I never really liked blasting heavy metal like in your face while you're trying to squat. I never understood it. If things were silent while I was lifting, that would be totally fine with me too. I never found an increase in strength from music. All right, next question. I'm on a cut right now doing cardio weightlifting. I notice my body's changing, my lifts are going up, but the number on the scale seems to be staying the same week to week. Have you experienced this? Yes. That could very well mean that you're putting on muscle and losing weight, just like where I am right now. What's your favorite movie, TV show? What's my favorite movie? Are you trying to get my password or something? Vanilla Sky is my favorite movie. I don't watch TV. Also, I don't remember seeing any vegetables in your prep meals. Well, that's because I didn't include them for that particular point in time, but doesn't mean that you can't. Vegetables are like free calorically, we can put it that way. Pretty cool to see someone lose weight with me. Thanks, man. All right, next question. Are you working in clinical medicine or in industry? I work in industry right now. Would you recommend working in the US as a physician? Perhaps. Right now, medicine is like in limbo. I don't know how to put it, but it's like right now is probably the worst time to be a physician. Like if you're a physician back in the 80s, That was probably like the best time. 70s, 80s was the best time to be one. Now is just not a good time. You're restricted on the amount of work that you can do. You're just abused as all fucking hell in residency. It's not a good time to be a physician. That's all I'm gonna comment on that. I'm starting to get unmotivated to lose weight. I'm even gaining weight. Uh-oh. If you're starting to get unmotivated, I'm starting to get unmotivated too. So I'm right there with you. You gotta stick by your principles, man. If you have to go that day, you have to go. Don't make any lame ass excuses. Don't sit on the computer, be like, oh, I want to play some video games, or or just sit and grovel and be like, I don't want to do it. Like you have to do it, then do it. I don't think that's helpful, but that's the only thing that keeps me going, is that if I don't go, I'm gonna feel like shit, which is gonna be, I feel even worse than if I did go. Next question. Would you recommend eating less unhealthy foods as a start rather than cutting it out completely? No, just start cutting it out completely. Fruits, nuts, vegetables, meats. Just start with there. Next question. Is there such thing as too much cardio for fat loss, especially for women? Yeah, there is something called too much cardio for fat loss when you start with too much cardio. You want to ease into more cardio like I've been doing. My change for this week is to add another 30-minute session. So now I have 4 days that I'm doing steady state cardio for 30 minutes. Just, you have to add in, especially for women. There isn't too much of a difference between men and women in that regard, so I wouldn't think too much about that. Next question. How does spending so much time and energy focusing on your body affect other aspects of your life? It really just bleeds into my free time, which is me playing games. Or, I don't know, traveling and taking pictures. That's about it. I don't really mind. This is the time block that I allocated for myself to do it. Next question. How does the body burn fat? Oh, that's very complicated. I don't even know if you want to get into that scientific model that we have put forth so far. But does it burn fat evenly, or are there zones more likely to burn fat than others? Yes. For me, I lose belly fat quicker than I would lose fat that would be like hanging around my bicep or hanging around my chest. Yeah, I do carry a lot of fat starting from my lats up to my chest and then into my arms. Those follow. It depends on you. It's really just based on the person. Next question. Have you thought about a more plant-based approach? And if yes, would you consider going vegan for a week? No, I won't go vegan for a week. I haven't thought of a plant-based approach for myself because I'm never going to put that restriction on myself. But I'm sure if you wanted to do something similar to what I'm doing, and you want to have the vegetarian or vegan restriction placed on you, I'm sure you could do it. You're not a national level bodybuilder or powerlifter or national level competitor. I don't see a problem with it. I'm not closed-minded to say that, oh no, it's absolutely impossible. I'm sure there's a way to do it. I'm not going to do it though. Next question. What motivates you to keep going? And does having an audience witnessing your, it cuts off, I'm going to guess, progress motivate you? Yeah, it does motivate me to know that people are watching. The most important person watching the videos, and this isn't a rip on you guys, but it's myself in 20 years. It's myself on my deathbed. I want to have a nice record of me having lost this weight, and I want to be able to observe it from any other point in my life going forward. And the fact that I can share it with other people, I think is great. Years ago, this would have been impossible to show to other people. And yeah, that is definitely a motivator. But I'm not scared that I was going to quit or anything, so we have that. Next question. Is it motivation that drives you or discipline that keeps you consistent on your path? It's discipline. How do you sharpen discipline? I don't know. I've always had the mentality that there's things that I have to do, and if I don't do them, then you lose. I don't want to lose, so I'm going to do them. Does squatting every day combat skinny legs? Not every day. If you squat every day, you're going to hurt yourself. I did it once a week in powerlifting. If you want to push it, you could do it twice a week. Definitely not every day though. You're gonna injure yourself. Once you get injured, then you can't train. When you can't train, then you get skinny again. Next question. Can you lose fat and build muscle at the same time, and how much protein should you have? I'm doing it right now. I'm having 300 grams of protein a day. your protein intake is going to be higher when you're on a cut than when you're trying to gain muscle. It's weird, right? But the reason for that is because your carbs and your fats are going to be lower when you're on a diet. So if those two are going to be decreased, and knowing that fat is more calorie dense than proteins and carbs combined, then you can go ahead and assess that, well, if I'm going to need to eat more, that's going to impact my blood sugar a little bit less. It can't be carbs, and it can't be fats, because fats is more calorically dense. And we're going to go ahead and up the proteins for now. It's not a detriment. I don't know why people were complaining about it. Next question, what are your current macros? 6 meals a day. I have 50 grams of protein, 20 grams of carbs, and 15 grams of fat at each one, except for the last meal where I have no carbs. Will the plan that I'm doing right now in the fat loss vlog be effective to somebody who wasn't previously going to the gym? It's too much for somebody who wasn't previously going to the gym. I'm at the gym 11 times a week. That's too much. That's too much for me, who used to go 4 or 5 times a week. Your body's not going to be able to handle it if you're not somebody who's gone to the gym. You ease yourself into it. Like if you start going to the gym to weight lift like 3 times a week, I'd say that's like the sweet spot. I remember back in 2005, I made the move from 3 days a week to 4 days a week, and that wrecked me for like 4 months. And I was young back then. I was 12 years younger than I am now. And typically at that age, you should have been able to recover a little bit better, but oh my God, it was terrible. Oh man. So it probably won't be that effective, to answer your question. Here's a good one. Are you using any kind of fat burners like hydroxycut or lipo-6? No, I'm not using any kind of fat burners. What are your thoughts about okay, I'm gonna think that's clenbuterol during a cut. I'm not gonna use clen, and there's a lot of side effects to that. If you don't know what clenbuterol is, it's a banned substance from the International Olympic Committee. They see it as a performance enhancing drug. And if I were going to use it, I would need a medical indication for it. No, I'm not going to prescribe it for myself. No, I'm not going to take it during a cut. There's people have died from heart attacks using it. Next question, how do you lose the love handles so fast? I've been cutting back since December, and it's just the love handles that are holding me back. Any tips? Love handles, usually an indicator of belly fat, and if you've been cutting since December, maybe you're the kind of person who just loses belly fat last. I just keep going to the diet, and eventually it'll be gone. What are some of the best things to eat before a workout, and how long in advance should you eat that meal? If it's solid food, if you eat it like 2 hours before, in my experience, that's usually okay. Usually just have some carbs and some proteins. If you have fats in your diet or in that particular meal, it's going to slow the absorption of all the food, and especially if you have more fats like nuts or oils, then it'll slow it down. But if you just have, I don't know, a nice meal of oatmeal and some chicken, that'd be good enough right before a workout. What are your thoughts and your medical opinion on waist trainers' corsets? I wouldn't, especially when they're like really tight on you. You're squishing up your organs on the inside. I know some women love wearing that stuff really tight, and they think that some guys really like it tight. Some guys really do. It's I don't know, you're squishing your organs up like that, and you're sucking in, and it just seems uncomfortable, and I think long term it wouldn't be good.
What I'm trying to say here is if they are too tight, they can prevent oxygen from flowing into your organs, and if that happens, then your organs can start to die. That's if they're too tight. If they're too tight.
All right, I know this video is getting really long now. We're gonna pick the last few questions. One that I find really important is this one question right here. So he wanted my take on training with joint injuries and tears. I've had to change the way I trained last year. I pulled a muscle in my back affecting my T4 spine and nerves. So once you start affecting your nerves in your back because of a lifting injury, that alone should be indication for you to not train through it. Especially he moves on to the question, most recently I have a nasty shoulder tear, possible impingement or inflamed bursa. I haven't been to a doctor yet, so you seem to be making a self-diagnosis. Go see the doctor first and make sure that you have all that squared away. Get the radiology behind it and get the doctor, get somebody to interpret the results, and then go from there. You definitely need to see a doctor. Don't weighed on this. In my experience, when I've trained through injuries, I've only re-injured them. And when I re-injure them, it sets me back in training. It could be up to even a year. If I just took 8 or, God forbid, 12 weeks off and then came back to the gym and came back stronger and better than before, I would have saved up a lot of time than, training through the injury. When you get to really heavy weights and you're injured, you're going to injure yourself more. You're going to set yourself back a lot. Don't train through injuries, my opinion. How much time do you spend at the gym a week? Way too much. I think right now I'm at like 12 hours a week, including the transportation to and from the gym. I really don't like it. It's starting to get too much, and it's probably going to be more soon. Next question, what do you think about intermittent fasting? So, all right, originally when I looked it up, it seemed to be like a diet fad, and then some people were like citing these scientific articles, but there were some scientific articles, like I just keep looking at the stuff that people keep linking in when they talk about intermittent fasting. You can tell that the internet's an echo chamber. You can tell these people writing these articles are just fitness guys. They're not people in the medical space. And if there are somebody in like a PhD, then it's dead obvious that they are a PhD writing this paper. So what I found is that there was a journal that everyone keeps citing, medical hypotheses, and there's like a specific article. There's a specific article that people are citing, like a 1957 Spanish paper about an elderly facility, and people were getting, people were living longer or something like that. It was not statistically significant, the number of people who died versus the number of people who were eating and then died. Look, the last time I saw somebody cite a paper from 1957, when it comes to the medical space, medical hypotheses, that journal is a fringe journal. It's not peer-reviewed. It also has a very low impact factor. And it brings out ideas to the table to say, hey, let's think about this. Is it possible that we could check into this idea a little bit more thoroughly? We could do that, right? That's a good thing, but when people start citing that as like scientific fact, it's not scientific fact. It's coming out of a journal that literally has no influence at all, right? In terms of dictating medical treatment at the very least. Now, it has some influence in terms of, hey, this is something that we could look at. This is a nice idea. And I think that's the good power in that journal. But then there's also another paper by Longo and Matson that was published in Cellular Metabolism in 2014, review article based on intermittent fasting. And people were talking about, it was looking at, in vitro studies in rats and seeing that intermittent fasting was, helping them live longer and, preventing diseases. And it even went on to extrapolate to people in very limited number of studies. And it's painfully obvious that Longo and Matson are PhDs when they write something like this. Thus, for many patients able and willing to endure long-term fasting and to permanently modify their diet, fasting cycles would have the potential to not only augment but also replace existing medical treatments. Replace existing medical treatments. Do you know you can only say that in a research article? Because if you said that in some kind of treatment guidelines and you go and tell somebody that they can't eat every other day to treat their rheumatoid arthritis, if somebody dies of starvation because you told them that, you're fucked. Your legal implications are so massive on you. Of course, in a PhD position, in somebody who has never worked with patients, yeah, you can go ahead and say something like this in a review article. But when you're going to go out and write treatment guidelines, when you're going to go out and you've had clinical experience working with people, you're going to know you can't say that. There's too many implications behind it. Other than that, to answer your question, on intermittent fasting, I'm not close to it. I think it's actually pretty cool. I can tell you right now with almost 100% certainty, it's not going to happen during the time I work with Shelby. The less I have to eat, the better. That's the way I see it. Second to last question. I'm currently on a diet eating 1,800 calories with a body fat of 19.5%. So far from your experience, how can I speed up my fat loss? My goal is 12%. Is it possible to reach 12% before May of this year? Yes, it is. The thing is, though, is that I always recommend having a coach, and having a good coach, not some, personal trainer at a random commercial gym. A good coach who has great results with his clients and who's had, great outcomes consistently with several different people. On Shelby scale, it's thousands. It's possible. It's harder to do it by yourself unless you've done it before in some capacity and done it before recently. But other than that, you definitely need a coach, and you need a coach who will teach you things, not just tell you what to do and then you just do it blindly. You always need to ask questions. Good coach that way. All right, the final question that I got from my training video, link is also in the description below, where I show how I train during this entire time. 8 sets. Isn't that too many? You're correct. In fact, the right number of sets is 0, because I wish I never had to do any of this. There's a weird mentality that you should only do like 3 sets at 10 reps. You're gonna find out later, the longer you train, like once you get to the order of, 7, 8, 9 years or a decade or 2 decades, that it doesn't matter how many sets you do. You need to do what is programmed for you at that particular point in time. When I was powerlifting, I'd do 12 sets of 2 reps for squats, right? And 12 sets, isn't that too many? No, because if you do 12 sets of 2 reps, you get 12 total reps where you get to try a weight as if it were your one attempt in a powerlifting meet. And in that way, it's a very powerful training tool. You need to tailor it to what you need to do. If you're a kid, 15 years old, just getting into the gym, 8 sets might be too many. But if you're somebody who's 35 years old, been in the gym since you were 15, and you want to go on a higher volume training set for that particular point in time for, 4 to 8 weeks, 8 sets is not that many. So, okay, video is very long. Thank you so much, everybody, for checking in with me. I might do another Q&A in case I missed your question. Leave me another question in the comments below, and it might be featured in the next video. But thanks so much, everybody, for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. It's starting to get dark out here, so I can't do the video anymore. Adios.